have a presentation that I did this past summer at the Alabama ACDA convention, their summer convention. So it's normally 45 minutes. So I'm going to try to break it down into like 12-minute segments, including this introduction first, and then we'll go to the other two sections. But the title of this video is Tactics to Build Success for Novice Male Singers. So our issue is usually getting our young boys, and for the purpose of novice or definition of novice, that's typically someone who's had 1 year or less of choral experience or singing in an ensemble. But the difficulty is getting from this type scenario where they look and make really poor decisions to where you're preparing them for possibly an international barbershop harmonies competition. Or maybe you were invited to sing the national anthem at a Division II baseball championship. Whatever the case may be, you've got to get these guys ready. Now, first of all, it's a long process and it's a slow process. So you can't be impatient. But I've worked with a lot of men's choirs and ensembles and loved every minute of it. There have been a lot of mistakes that I've made, but I'm going to save you some of that time and the effort of my failures. So, and hopefully steer you in the right direction so you'll have immediate success. So we work extremely hard to get the guys in our ensembles, to get them in there in the first place. And it seems to be increasingly more difficult to do so. The research suggests that prepubescent young male singers, that's those who have not gone through the voice change, try to sing in elementary school, but because of peer pressure, some stereotypes, and their voice change, they usually will stop singing. And usually in middle and junior high school, they don't usually come back because now their voice is changing. They're cracking. Little girls are laughing at them, when their voice cracks, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very difficult to get them back at any point. But that's why it's so important to be patient with them and assist them through this time and through the voice change, and don't exclude them because of this natural, albeit scary time in their life, their developmental process. So let me tell you a quick story about a former student named Philip. Philip came into my high school choir, and he introduced himself, and he said, "I'd like to be in choir, Mr. Brown, if you don't mind." And I said, "Well, it sounds like you'd be a good bass, Philip. I'd love to have you. Do you have any experience singing in choirs before?" And he said, "No, my middle school director wouldn't take me into choir because my voice had already changed." So I was a little bit crushed at his director, but this unfortunately is more common than you think. A lot of times people may not want to just deal with the issues of voice change or rearrange a song for the boys to sing down an octave or have them sing the tune down an octave because of fear of judgment or judges' scores at festivals or whatnot. But this is where we are and what we have to do. So if I can encourage our secondary middle school directors for a moment, please don't give up on your guys. Be patient with them and work through this process. Also, I discovered this just a few years ago, that their prefrontal cortex is still developing. This is the part of the brain that makes decisions, which is why they make bad ones most of the time. It's not completely their fault. They're just not developed yet. So be patient with them, help them work through this time, and hopefully you'll be rewarded for that later on. So this will oftentimes spill over into freshman year at the high school level, and usually through Christmas break. But some miracle of the season or something happens, usually I've noticed in my career, sometime right after Christmas, the 9th grade boys grow up just a little bit more, and they're usually ready for decent instruction and for you to be able to teach them. So we don't have time, however, in this session to work through all the prepubescent scenarios. So I'm going to assume for a second that you somehow managed to talk a group of guys to join choir after their voice change, which is the post-pubescent period. But they have little or no choir experience. These are the guys we're targeting in this session called novice singers. We usually define this group, as I mentioned earlier, less than 1 year of singing in an ensemble. So I've had various scenarios in my career where I was both the middle school and high school choir director, so it was only my fault if they sucked. Or two, I had no middle school feeder program at all, and they were basically all coming in at ground zero. Number three, I started a middle school choir club that met once a week, bust them over, and was trying to build a middle school program that way. And then four, which was actually the worst case scenario, I had two middle school feeder programs. One was tremendously awesome, and the kids sang and knew how to sight read and solfege and everything. And then the other middle school did not have a choir program. So those kids came in, they heard, yeah, Dr. Brown's pretty cool, we're going to join choir. But they didn't know what a whole note was. So this was really difficult to try to keep the really super good kids motivated while you pull the others along and teach them as you're going. So anyway, I don't know what your situation is, but I'm trying to give you some words of encouragement here. Now I'm in a great situation, and I'm Spanish Fort, Alabama, and my feeder program is phenomenal. Props to Miss Stewart. She's a middle school goat. So anyway, so quick backstory on this research and why I went this direction. I was teaching at Oxford High School in Mississippi while working on my master's degree. So in Mississippi, their fine arts requirement is that they just need 1 year of anything of a fine arts credit to graduate. So there would be a lot of times some senior boys, most of them may have been football players or whatever, and they would come to me and wait their senior year and say, well, I need a fine arts credit, Mr. Brown, can I get in choir? And I would say, well, of course, sure you can. So come on. So this is what I came up with in order to help them. So I'm going to stop the video here and break it down into two more sections. But the goal that you'll see, the goal for these gentlemen, young guys, is to pour a foundation of confidence and self-efficacy that makes them believe that they can do it. So if you can do some simple things with them that I'm going to share with you in the next couple of videos that really make them think that they can do it, they'll typically work real hard for you and thank you for it later. So that's where we are right now, and I'm going to go to video 2 here in just a moment. Thank you for your time.